Hey guys, I'm going to be taking you through the Oracle driver install for PBIRS, SSRS, and Power BI. I'm going to try to go quickly, but it is a time-consuming install. So let's start off by going to the official Microsoft, go figure, documentation for this install. I actually feel like the Microsoft documentation is a lot better than Oracle's, ironically. So let's review what we're going to be installing first of all. So we've got the 64-bit drivers for the report servers. So if you need to install the Oracle drivers for if you're running SSRS or PBIRS, you're going to be wanting to install this. If you're running Power BI report server, then you're going to want to install this, the unmanaged odp.net. And then for Power BI desktop, you'll want to install the, again, odp.net unmanaged client. I really doubt anyone is going to be doing this, but if you're doing the 32-bit version of Power BI Desktop, then you'll also have to register the odp.net unmanaged client, the 32-bit drivers specifically. All right, so let's get started. If I miss anything, I'll circle back. Apologize ahead of time. So I've already opened up these 2 pages ahead of time. So the first one is the 64-bit drivers, the ODAC installer, and the second one is the 32-bit. The 32-bit one will not have any label saying that it's 32-bit, but the 64-bit one does. So that's a pretty easy way to make sure that you're in the right place. Keep in mind, Report Builder is a 32-bit application. So if you want to use Oracle drivers in conjunction with Report Builder, then you're going to have to go through the 32-bit install as well. So for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to be doing both 32-bit and 64-bit. I've already downloaded them. I actually downloaded the 18.3 drivers for both 64 and 32-bit. So they're right here. This is 64-bit. This is 32-bit. So I'm going to go ahead and extract them. I haven't done that yet. And this is actually a lot slower than I expected. Otherwise, I would have extracted it ahead of time. Let me go ahead and start this one off as well. So I'm going to start getting a couple of things ready while that works. First of all, let me go over what I'm actually going to install. I'm going to skip a few of these things. Developer tools for Visual Studio, I don't need. I mean, really, the main thing I want is this odp.net installer. I'm going to go ahead and install some of these other things, not the transaction server stuff, not the documentation, but a lot of the other stuff. But really the main thing we want here is the odp.net drivers. I'll be honest, I didn't really commission the strongest VM in the world for this exercise, so it is running SSDs, but pretty slow ones, I suppose. Once this install goes through, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the 64-bit version first. while we wait, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about some of the things, if something goes wrong, some of the things that you can check. So the environment variable, the environment path variable, if we go over here to File Explorer, which I already had opened, if I right click this PC, Properties, I'm going to go to Advanced System Settings, and I'm going to click on this Environment Variables button. I don't too much care for the user variables, but for system variables, I'm going to want to check out this path. And now, right now, I've got a pretty pristine path. Once I'm done with these installs, my Oracle home is going to be listed here. All right, so done with that. Let's start this install. There's one other thing that can be useful for troubleshooting when you run into the issues, which I find people often do. I'm just going to let this search. It's going to take a long time, but hopefully by the time we're done with this, it'll be done. I think we have a lot of time. I can't minimize this, so I'm just going to put it out of the way over here. Really, we're done with these ODAC installer links. I'm not sure if this is worth mentioning. I'll mention it before I continue the setup. If you log in to download these files, you log in to download them, and you do so only after clicking the download button, like this download button, then you might run into a little bug that Oracle's had on their site for over a year now, where it's going to redirect you, but it's going to give you an error after you log in. It's not going to actually start to download. You can either start to download by just going back to this page and clicking on the link again now that you are logged in, or the alternative is on the error page. You'll notice that at the end of the URL, it's going to say something like, you know, it's going to have a parameter up here like forward URL equals, and then it's going to have the actual URL of the file. You can just copy and paste that back into your browser and it'll work. But I think the easier thing is, if you probably won't remember that, so just visit the main page again and just start the download again. All right, the installer finally started up, so I'm just going to hit next. Okay, you can leave this as default, but I am not going to, because it's going to get super confusing if I don't label this Oracle 64, because I'm installing 64-bit and 32-bit, so I'm calling it Oracle 64. So that's the only change I'm making. I'm hitting next. Like I said, I'm unchecking transaction server, Visual Studio. Did this thing get smart on me overnight? There used to be a some other stuff for Visual Studio here that was checked by default. All right, well, I'm just going to keep going. All right, I'm going to hit install. Cool. I'm just going to go grab my, I've got a TNS names.aura file that I'm going to be testing with today. So I'm just going to grab that while this thing installs. Got a little bit of time. Kind of slow install. So I've got a little bit of time. All right. Grabbed it. And I'm just moving it over now. So there's my tnsnames.aura. Let's open this just to take a quick look at what it looks like. So all I've got is I've got one little Oracle database. It's actually, I think it's Oracle 12C, something like that. It's running in a Docker container on my Linux box. Doesn't have too much on it. I just use it for some basic testing. But anyway, I'm going to need this later on. This is going so slow, I'm probably going to have to put a few bookmarks. Oh, there we go. Nice. So 64-bit is done, kind of. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like I had to reopen this window. It had not updated, but you can see now that my environment variable has been updated. Now there are 2 additional entries. There's client 1 and client 1 bin. I'm going to go ahead and start the 32-bit installer now. Remember, the 32-bit installer you only want to do if you either need to use Report Builder on your machine. At least as of today, as of right now, Report Builder is a 32-bit application. I think in the future, probably see it go 64-bit, but for now, I'm going to have to install the 32-bit drivers. Okay, while that ramps up, let's head over to the Oracle Home that we just installed. So it was Oracle 64, if you remember. Sorry. It's kind of late in the evening. I'm a little sleepy. But I've been putting this off for a while, so I wanted to just get it done now. So again, I'm renaming this to Oracle 32. That way I can tell quite easily in the future. Here we go. Here's the guy I was looking for. I guess it's only available for 32-bit. That's why we didn't see it on the other install. But I'm leaving these others, odp.net being the most important. So I'm going to hit next, next. I feel like you guys would probably not be as bored right now if you could see the cat that was sleeping on my lap. There's definitely a cat here. Yeah. There she is. Back to sleep she goes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Carrie. All right. There she's back asleep. All right, guys. So almost done with the installers, but now we're going to need to do some manual, old school command prompt type stuff. And for that, we're coming back to this official documentation, this official Microsoft documentation. So we're going to register the odp.net managed client to the GAC, to machine.config, as well as the unmanaged client. We're going to do that as well. And that's going to take care of the managed client will be for paginated reports. So if you're running SSRS, you definitely want to do this. You want to register the odp.net managed client. If you're running Power BI report server, then you're going to want to register the odp.net unmanaged client. If you're running report builder, you want to register the odp.net managed client, the 32-bit managed client. And then if you're doing Power BI desktop, you want the odp.net unmanaged client, which we already covered up here for the Power BI report. So basically Power BI report server or Power BI desktop, you want to go with this guy. So let me go ahead and get these commands all ready. I'm just going to pop open a notepad, nothing too fancy. I'll make it a little bigger so you guys can see a bit better. So here are the entries for paginated reports. It's the managed data access commands. So you're going to want to change a couple things based on the version. So you'll notice here, this is my Oracle home. I named it the same thing that the article has it named. Might be different for you based off of, you know, what you named it or your actual Oracle home. But I mean, just go browse for it. Make sure that it's the same. So here you can see it's the exact same path. And it's calling this executable. And then it's registering this client, and that's about it. So I don't have to change anything. And since I went ahead and opened this location already, I'm just going to pop into this network folder, go into admin, and I'm copying my TNS names Aura file in there. And I'm going to do the same thing for my 32-bit. There we go. Cool. All right, so I'm done with that. Let's see. All right, we're all installed. So I've got this guy ready. This guy's ready. I'm also going to want this guy. And this guy. And, of course, the 32-bit, because I want to use Report Builder. And notice that this is the directory for the 32-bit Oracle home. All right, that should be all I need. Because remember, this is the same as, wait, is it the same? Yep, okay, there we go. Yeah, so this is, wait a second. I didn't copy the whole thing. There we go. So, I keep not copying the whole thing. There is a difference here between these two, but these should be the same. This one and this one should be the same. Data access, yep. Yeah, they're the same. My Control F skills are lacking this evening. Hey, calm down. Cat's fussy. All right, guys, so now I'm just going to open up an elevated command prompt window. Great. And copy, paste. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. And copy, paste. And copy, paste. All right, we should be done now. The install should be 100% complete. Let's see, did this thing ever finish? Yeah, it did. Cool. So this is what I wanted to share with you. So in this directory, this Microsoft.NET Framework 64 version 4 point whatever /config, we've got this machine.config file. And when I've had users that are having trouble getting their install working, or we're troubleshooting something, we're trying to find out why it's not working, usually I like to come in here and just confirm that the unmanaged data access and the managed data access drivers are actually referenced here. I can do a couple more searches for Oracle. Yeah, so here you go. Here's odp.net, unmanaged driver and the managed driver. So things aren't working for you. That's a good way to tell. You know, if it's not installed. And keep in mind, this is the 64-bit framework 64. So there's another one. There's just framework for 32-bit. You can check that one as well, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so things should be working now. So I'm going to do a quick test. Let's just check environment variables. We should see 4 Oracle paths now. So, yep, sure enough, 32, 32, 64, 64. All righty. Now let's just prove that it works. I'm going to start off with the 32-bit report builder. So I'm going to go to new data source. Okay. I'm selecting Oracle database. And all I'm going to do is do data source equals. And if you remember from my my tnsnames.ora file, I called this thing orlab. And let me do one more thing while we're at this. Let me do a quick search for Procmon. This is another solid way to figure out if you're running into issues. Procmon takes a little bit of practice to really get good at. But no worries, I'm going to show you how to use it. As soon as I double click it and click agree, it's going to start auto recording. I don't want that, so I'm going to click the magnifying glass right there. That's going to stop auto recording. I'm going to hit the eraser to clear everything. I'm going to click the filter button. I'm adding a filter where its path ends with .ora. Oops, .ora. Adding that as a filter, clicking OK, and I'm clicking the magnifying glass to resume capturing. Look at all those captures. We're at 100,000 already. That's crazy. Like if you don't apply filters, you're gonna have a bad time with this. It's a really great application. It can help you find some really tough problems like say your instance of SSRS is the reports are like randomly failing to generate. There are times when I've been able to use Procbond to find evidence that an antivirus is directly interfering with the generation of reports by aggressively scanning SSRS's temp directories and that sort of thing. So it's really great for that sort of thing. In this scenario, what I'm using it for is to find the exact TNS names.aura file that is being used to look up this data source. And if there's none used, then I probably don't have the right drivers installed. So I'm going to do test connection and check that out. So you can see that it immediately queried TNS name.aura located in the Microsoft report builder directory, which honestly, I didn't know it did that, but apparently it does. Now you know too. And then it went into my environment path and found this guy, the 32-bit guy, and check it out. It found it, result success. I was able to read it. Oh, and well, it worked kind of, except that I forgot to put in a password. So I'm just going to put in a quick password here. This is the worst password ever, but it is just a Docker container, so I'm not too worried. And there you go, successful. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this, and let's just make sure that PBIRS is working. So the way I know that this is going to be working is if I go to new data source, if it's suddenly available for me in the drop down, that's pretty much a guarantee that I did it right. Just taking a little bit. It's a little sleepy. I haven't really played with this guy much. I think I might have just started up and haven't loaded anything on it yet. So I'll give it a second to do its load. I can close this. I'm done with it. Just while it loads, I doubt you guys are going to run into this, but if you weren't using Oracle before in SSRS or PBIRS, it's possible that one of your admins went into this rsreportserver.config file, opened it up, and took out the default Oracle data source. So it's right here. So you should have this guy in here. Now, it doesn't hurt really to leave it in. It generates a little bit of noise whenever the data sources get loaded. Each of these, I mean, you probably realize you don't have a lot of these, like SAP, Teradata, Essbase, Oracle. Probably don't have a lot of these. You probably don't have the drivers installed, so whenever it loads up, it's going to throw an error. You can ignore that error. There are a lot of benign errors that come along with SSRS starting up. Anyhow, okay, so it finally loaded up, and we should see Oracle database here, and we do. We can do data source equals Oracle lab. And we're going to put in the same credentials as before. They are database credentials. Disconnection. Yep. That's it, guys. I could show you that the Power BI desktop install worked too, but you're just going to have to take my word for it because there's really no reason. I can guarantee you it works. Yeah. hope this helps. Just keep in mind, if you run into issues, check the environment variable path. Check the machine.config, both of them, if you're having issues with 32 and 64-bit. And maybe even check the RS or PBIRS config file to make sure that the Oracle data source is registered there. All right. Hope this helps.